Hello and welcome back to the Jobless Bum YouTube channel. I hope you're having a fantastic day today. Today, we're going to be taking another look at r/Am I the Asshole, and we're going to figure out whether Redditors were in the right or in the wrong in various situations that they've posted about. And without any further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so the first post that we're going to take a look at today is, am I the asshole for naming the cat who I rescued from the middle of the road speed bump and upsetting my stepdaughter? Context. I rescued a 9-week-old kitten from the middle of a busy street. After a trip to the vet for assessment and chip scanning, and a thorough search of local social media, we decided to keep him. By we, I mean I, as my wife and stepdaughter, 8, were out of town to see her family. I didn't go because 1, my mother-in-law is actually Satan, and 2, I couldn't get enough time off. Anyways, they approved the adoption via telephone and left it up to me to decide his name. I picked Speed Bump to be his name because he almost became a speed bump before I rescued him. However, upon learning this name and why I picked it, my stepdaughter burst into tears and told me that it was a horrible name. She wants to name him something different, and I am considering surrendering the point even though his pet license and microchip all say Speed Bump. Even my wife agrees the name was in poor choice, and now whenever we say the kitten's name, we will have to think about him getting run over. So, let me share my thoughts on this situation. I believe that the name Speed Bump for the kitten is a clever and humorous choice. It also references the origin of how the kitten came to be in their life. However, I do think that it may not be the most suitable name for a cat for an 8-year-old. To be reminded of the circle of life every time you call for your cat, to some, could be a darkly humorous circumstance, but for others, it could be an unpleasant experience. For an 8-year-old, it's probably the latter. While OP was given the responsibility of naming the cats, they also probably should have kept in mind the sensibilities of the wife and the stepdaughter. Just because you think you have a funny name for your cat doesn't necessarily mean that others will feel the same way. In my opinion, the name Speed Bump may be funny for OP, but I think OP could have exercised better judgment and kept his family's sensibilities in mind when naming the cat. My final verdict is that OP is a little bit of an asshole for this, so I will say, OP, you are the asshole. The other post that we're going to take a look at today is, am I the asshole for storming out after we missed New Year's Eve because my dad wouldn't change the channel? I, 20s, was with my dad, mom, 50s, and sister, 20s, on New Year's Eve. As she usually does, my mom brought snacks for us to eat while we watched the countdown to midnight on television. When he saw the snacks, my dad said that he was planning on watching the Peach Bowl, an American football game happening that night. My mom asked me if the game would go until midnight, and my dad said he hoped not, but that he'd want to watch the game. As it turned out, the game did go long. My mom's sister and I eventually made our way to the television starting around an hour before midnight, but none of us cared about the game that was on. We were all on our phones and eating snacks while we waited. As midnight approached, so did the final moments of the extremely close game. All of us asked my dad to change the channel briefly so we could watch the countdown, but he refused, saying he wanted to watch the end of the game. He had the remote. We missed it. I was mad because the only reason I had come at all was to celebrate the start of 2023 at midnight with my family, but I'd missed it. So I said Happy New Year's nonchalantly and left. My mom and sister were mad too and left him there with the mess of snacks. My dad thinks we were super rude and insensitive since he had said in advance that he wanted to watch the game and we knew how important it was to him. Am I the asshole for storming out when he refused to change the channel? So let me share a few thoughts about this situation. In my opinion, the decision by college football authorities to move significant bowl games from New Year's Day to New Year's Eve has caused inconvenience and conflict for many people across the United States. It not only disrupted the tradition of having these games on New Year's Day or in the days following, but it also created tension amongst TV viewers nationwide. For this New Year's Eve, I was actually at a bar, and with me being from Ohio, yes, I am from Ohio, many fans were interested in this Peach Bowl game as it was the Ohio State Buckeyes versus the Georgia Bulldogs. It was close all the way up until the final moments, and OP is not exaggerating at all. Literally, the game-winning field goal was kicked right before the drop of the ball for New Year's Eve, and was mid-air as the ball was dropping. At the bar I was at, there was actually a reverse situation to OP, where the game was on all of the TVs, and actually half of the TVs were switched to the New Year's Eve countdown, and everybody in the bar was pissed. So really, it's all about perspective, whether someone is interested in a particular event or not. Now to my thoughts on the moral predicament in this scenario. This situation is tough because I get both sides of the equation. It seems that OP and mother and sister were not really interested in the game, while their father probably did not have that much interest in the New Year's Eve countdown. Just based on the fact that there were more people who wanted to watch the New Year's Eve countdown than the football game, I think the father probably should have changed the channel to the New Year's Eve countdown. This also begs the question, is there only one TV in the house? I think that if there was more than one TV, then OP's father probably should have moved to another room as it was getting closer to the countdown, and should have let OP and her sister and her mother watch the countdown on the main TV. At the end of the day, I don't know necessarily that there was a solution that would have worked for everyone, because both events were of high importance to the parties involved, and both events were live and not able to be consumed in the same way at a different time. Based on the fact that there were 3 people who wanted to watch the New Year's Eve countdown and only 1 person who wanted to watch the football game, I think OP was justified in being mad and storming off. For my final verdict, I am going to say that OP is not the asshole. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the various scenarios discussed in this episode, and whether you agreed or disagreed with my conclusions. Again, thank you so much for watching, and as always, be sure to stay safe.